While Casey and I were yelling, Katie said, wait a goddamn minute. She was doing the math. She was doing the multiplication. She said, if 1 plus 1 equals Zach was kissing that girl and 2 plus Zach didn't bring that girl back. Now, Kenzie, you know he did not like you. Why did you stand on that green square? All right, these are my random thoughts for the first episode of the new season of Love Island. Melanie's my favorite. There's something about an East Coast girl that I just love. And she says a girl's girl doesn't have to say that she's a girl's girl. She ate. Her and Sincere's new blossoming relationship. I'm here for it. I like to see it because I don't necessarily know that Anaya and Casey is gonna work out. And speaking of Casey and Sean seem problematic. I cannot put my finger on it, and it probably will develop later because these are still first impressions, but it's something about how they introduced themselves and marketed themselves that seem a little bit off. You tell me. Bia, as being the first disabled person, I also think it's interesting that she's literally an Olympic medalist. So I think it's the age-old issue of being in a marginalized group and having to be excellent just to be considered. Like, other people are fixing garbage trucks. Just saying. No shade. A job is a job. But we're not on the same level. You get what I'm saying? I knew Bryce didn't like Trinity because he asked her no questions about herself. Like, she was asking really, good get-to-know-you questions, and Bryce asked nothing. He just talked about himself. So that was a large sign. What are y'all thoughts?
So we find ourselves in a situation where the least desirable one is the white girl. So we are talking about Love Island episode 2. And my thoughts is Gabe needs to put back on his shirt. I don't understand why he keeps on taking off his shirt. Like, my friend, it was never hot. You're trying to be sexy. And it's not coming off natural. It's not coming off genuine. I do feel for Kenzie. I truly do, because it's just like, you know that you're attractive. You know that, like, in other spaces you get the niggas, but like in this particular situation you don't. I find it hilarious. In addition, I also understand your pain. I sometimes feel like I be in places and I'm like, dang, I look really cute today, and no niggas be checking me out. So I understand. I don't think anybody was surprised in terms of who was gonna couple up with who. I truly believe Bryce and Trinity also should have been like single again. It just so happens that both of them ended up not being wanted by the bombshells, so now they're a couple. Like, I don't quite understand that, and it doesn't quite make sense to me, but go off. And once again, my favorite couple is Melanie and Sincere. Like, just the way he lights up talking about her. Keep that same energy. Don't disappoint. You might possibly be my client. They both possibly might be my client. Like, it's looking good for them. It's looking good for them. I know their relationship will be tested, but it's still week 1. You know, still week 1. We're still trying the thing. Bia did what she should be doing. It's episode 2. Shoot, episode 1. Should she have communicated a hint better? Yes. Yes, she could have. But at the end of the day, y'all are not married. She is exploring. It is what it is. But he was really affected. He was really affected. And I'm just like, I feel like it's too soon. It's too soon to be, like, locked in. And it was really funny because he was talking to Casey, and Casey was trying to, like, hype him up and be like, nah, bro, nah. But he definitely was trying to dirty Mac with a girl. Just saying. So what?
Now, Love Island, you know these black ladies don't have no boho knotless braids this season. Why are you pushing them in pools? Come on, stop playing with me. I was so ready to get on this video and talk bad about how Sincere is pulling lady for pizza chats. But we really saw in real time how self-destruction can work. Like, Melanie literally does not have to do anything. She has a guy that likes her. And instead of going with the flow, because forget, we are still in the first week of Love Island, she is self-sabotaging herself. And Sincere is correct. He is allowed to engage with other women. He is allowed to explore. And he also is allowed to express that he likes Melanie and wants to continue to get to know her. Once again, all Melanie has to do is sit and wait. But she's engaging with him, talking about, I know you're a cheater. I know the type of person you are. If you cheating, I'm a cheat too. Like, whoa, mama. What are we doing? What are we doing? Let's chill. Let's take a moment. Let's take a beat. Also, When did Kenzie and Sean become a thing? Did I miss this? What happened? Because I feel like they were talking about how he likes country music, and then they go together real bad. I miss something here. Like I'm a hint confused. But Sincere, you're not off the hook because we're not going to be comparing people to fish. Additionally, I'm not really happy about the revelation that Trinity had. Please understand, just because you did not get chose by Gabriel and Bryce is still in a couple with you doesn't mean that Bryce is the right person for you. I just want to take her away from him. Like, this is not good. This is not what it's giving. And I think, like, right now it feels like she just wants to stay in the villa long enough so she can find a real connection and a real match. But, like, Bryce is not it. Run, run, run. This episode gave us wig changes, new bombshells, and possibly our favorite couple fizzling out. Or rather, my favorite couple, but now I feel like I have to backtrack. Let's have conversations. So in the beginning, I was really feeling Sincere and Melanie, and now I feel like Melanie is making me look crazy. She's making me look ridiculous because, girl, you're crashing out twice. First, it was a crash out with Sincere on the previous episode. Then you're crashing out with Bia. And honestly, I respect Bia because Bia simply said, hey, listen. Bia said, even though me and Kenzie had our little mishap, I do agree that she needs to engage with the bombshell first because she is single and up for elimination. Fair is fair. What did Melanie say? She running straight to the bombshell. And also, like, I don't know, he gives me the ick a little bit. He's like, so what do y'all think about me? Ew, just like have conversation. This new generation is like struggling. They're struggling with conversation. They're struggling with engaging outside of lookism. Y'all can't convince me that Sean likes Kenzie. Sean does not like Kenzie. He does not. I think he is biding his time at the moment. And also, once again, Trinity and Bryce are just weird. Like, she don't like this man either. I think genuine relationships are forming with Zach and Kata. And I don't know about Casey and Ayana anymore. But dare I say Casey is growing on me because he still give me weird energies, but maybe he's just awkward. Maybe he's just an awkward black man and we are not giving space to awkward black men. Maybe that is what's happening. I'm not 100% sure, but Anaya felt some type of way that Melanie was trying to talk to Casey and also felt some type of way that Casey allowed Melanie to talk to her. We're still in the early season, you know what I mean? Early part of the game. So it's just like, let people explore and they're going to realize that you are what they want. And I was here for Kata and Melanie in that back and forth. And I hate when people were saying that Kata had hands. Me and my friend watched that video. It was a sleight of hand. It actually was not hands. Like, she just gave a sucker punch. Like, you wasn't really like throwing down. Like, we live in Philly. We know what hands look like. But I think Kata was in the right to engage with Melanie like that because it's just like, this is fake love. You are hating because this man sat and chatted with me for 1 minute. 1 minute, and we were talking about freaking pizza. Like, girl, be so for real. Sean leaving the villa is a manifestation of what happens when you are not truly trying to build connections while you're in the villa. I can say this because I'm like 2 days late, so spoilers don't really exist anymore. Officer Sexy Pants, as he likes to claim for himself, is no longer in the villa, and I was just like, yeah, you waited too long to try to engage with Trinity. You really didn't shoot your shot with Lanaya, which you could have because you told Casey, like, that is a possibility. And Casey was, like, letting it fly. So all these things could have happened, but you didn't let it happen. And unfortunately, you had to leave. I truly appreciate Anaya. Like, I feel like, unfortunately, yes, a lot of Black women have to be the supportive ones, have to be the caretakers, have to be the listening ear. And she is holding that role, but I think she's holding that role in space very well. And it feels truly, truly genuine. Secondly, I'm honestly surprised at the conversation that Bia and Melanie had because it was real, right? Like, the conversation of how she feels like she has to perform femininity to be chosen. Like, she, as an athlete, literally a medalist in the Olympics, has to feel like she has to be a little bit more girly, be a little bit more softer to engage with men. And she sees that within Melanie. And I think she is, let's be honest, she is a hint jealous because she cannot perform that effortlessly. But I think underneath that layer is the idea of, why does she have to? Why can't she show up as herself and still be loved and still be viewed as attractive? And I think that is an interesting conversation, and that was very interesting to me. But anywho, Sean left because, like I told y'all, that Kenzie, whatever relationship or engagement, entanglement, if you will, was not real. Like they both were like dumped, and they're like, might as well. And funny enough, that's the same thing that happened with Casey and Anaya. But Casey said, I wanted that woman. I wanted that lady. And like I said, I might have to backtrack on like not liking the vibe of Casey, and I think he communicated it in that recoupling, is that he was uncomfortable. He was uncomfortable, and he didn't know anybody, and he didn't quite open up. But Anaya is giving him that place and space to do that. So he's showing a little bit more of his personality. He's showing a little bit more of the ability to be cooler, calmer, and collected. And his personality is showing. And maybe that's what I was getting. Maybe that's the vibe that I was getting. Okay, Casey, you better love on your Black Queen. We love it. We love it. I kind of like their relationship now. I'm kind of liking it. We're talking about Love Island, episode 6, and how do we feel about these bombshells? Like, Soul, Shorty's bad. Shorty, literally, my friend saw me watching the show, and she was like, she's the one. Yes. Shorty, put those nail clippers down. You and Bryce are not a thing. You keep trying to make fetch happen. It's not gonna happen. And I'm kind of annoyed because like the new bombshell from North Carolina is literally Kenzie's type to a T, but Kenzie don't need no types. Kenzie had Sean, Kenzie had Corbin, and Fake had Gabriel. So why does she need another person for her? I was like watching somebody's TikTok, and they were saying that they're trying to make like Kenzie kind of like the Huda of this year, in terms of regardless of what happens, they are trying to, as the producers are going to try to make Kenzie like the big thing and win. And I'm not here for it. There's so many other interesting characters on this season, and Kenzie, with her eyes are wide open, looking like a deer caught in the headlights, is not one of them. Like, we don't need a perfect man for her. Ain't she chilling with Corbin? Didn't Corbin just choose her? Like have them sizzle for a while. I feel like we need somebody for Trinity. Like, producers produce and give us somebody for Trinity, because this Bryce and Trinity situation is not happening. I choose not to acknowledge it. Like, if I'm the UN, they're not a true country. You get me? Seeing the cracks in Bia's and Gabriel's relationship, I just feel like he doesn't like her in the same level that she likes him, and I think that she is also feeling that. So I'm concerned. I am a little bit concerned. So we have to see how this develops. But I think the bombshells are going to shake it up a little bit, and it's definitely more in favor of the guys, and the guys will choose this recoupling, the next one. So we'll see what happens. Melanie is having dreams, and Soul is tasting pheromones, and here we are. So we're talking about Love Island, the latest episode. It might be cooked for Melanie. It might be cooked for Melanie. It might be cooked for Melanie and Ayana, but in different ways. Hear me out. So for Melanie, we know that she's a crash out. Give me 10, give me 10, give me 10 is viral now. She is creating her own demise. And I talked about it in my last episode. Like, she knows she is self-destructive, and yet she continues to have that behavior. And don't get me wrong, it's not something as you acknowledge it and you notice it and then you can automatically stop it. No, I totally get it. Like, it's something that you have to work on outside of the villa in Philly with the lady. You get what I'm saying? So that's one thing. And then Ayana, I just feel like you are not giving the same supporting, like, emotion to Casey as he's giving to you. I don't think he's noticed it 100% yet, but when he does, when I mean that head will turn, it will turn. It might be a situation of somebody perfect will come into the villa for him and then she's chopped. But I feel like she knows that. She knows that if somebody perfect for him comes into that villa, it's not going to be them anymore. As for Zach, I don't know what he's doing. Like, you thought it was cute to say that you're closed off. That's actually insane, my guy. Like, y'all been here for 5 seconds, and Kata came in a day later. So to say that you're closed off is literally insane, and it's not giving what you think it's giving. And I feel like it's a manipulative tactic to the people who are watching the show. You're trying to sell it off as like it's Kata and only Kata, and you only have eyes for Kata. You are literally drowning. It's okay to say you really like somebody, but you're still willing and able to explore. And then the next day, have that conversation with the blonde lady, which is hilarious because blonde's not your type, right? Blonde's not your type. Um, it's like, come on, like, just be honest, just be communicative, and everything will be okay. I don't have a lot of thoughts about Kenzie. Kenzie is like, I feel like every guy that comes in, Kenzie gonna want him. So like, yes, this is perfect to a T, but like, he's younger than Corbin, and she was calling herself a cougar with him. Like, Corbin, he can go away, but you know who could go to hell? It's Gabe. Gabe, you can go straight to hell because you are trying to kiss all these bombshells and you are just the most flightiest person ever. Like, sit down, do something. Like, yes, I'm aware, I am not dumb, that he did not like Bia in the way that we thought he liked her. Actually, that's a lie. I didn't even think that he liked her. I think he liked her for now. He gave her for now, man. And for now, he got 2 bombshells and he kissing both of them and not even trying to get to know either of them. He just knows that they're attractive. He said, "You're a model? You got big titties? You didn't even wait 24 hours to be kissing both of them. How you dirty macking and still get your girl took? Zach, you were in Bryce and Trinity's business, and Bryce then told you, I want to be in Kata's business." We are talking about Love Island, episode 8, and it was a hot mess, and I loved every minute of it. We have Zach telling Bryce, Trinity is not the one for you. I am. Okay, he didn't say that part, but the bromance is bromancing. Trinity, outside of what America wants her to do, does like Bryce, and she is interested in him, but she just wants some affection. Granted, she is 22, so how she communicated that might not be the best, but we got around to it. In 1 minute, y'all are perfect, y'all are the best couple here, y'all have no complaints, we're great. And then the next minute, I don't know if she's feeling me. I don't know if she's liking me. If somebody says, hey, I want you to be more affectionate, isn't that an indication that they like you? And then you have Zach in the air saying, nah, bro. She's not like us and Kata. And then you get surprised why Bryce says he likes Kata. Come on, be so for real. Moving on. So we have Melanie, Sincere, and Soul. Soul is sitting down being pretty, minding her business, okay? She got pulled for these jets. Understand. Melanie, once again, she is creating her own demise because in 1 minute she is saying, if you talk to her, if you like her, it's done with me and you. And then she sees him talking to her, liking her, and she is crying about it. Now, to be fair, Sincere is a liar. He's a liar and he's been lying. I forgot to mention it the video before, but she had to come to him, Melanie had to come to him and say, well, what were you doing? Were you kissing this lady? And he was not upfront with her and saying, yes, this is what I was doing. She had to ask him, she had to probe him, she had to pull it out. That's not cool. And again, she's saying, well, what's you trying to do with this lady? And he's saying, oh, it's just you. But then you up in Say Less for, or Soul Ties, whatever the hell it is, 4 hours on end. Now we have Anaya. Now, I said in my last video, I like that Anaya is where people go to find guidance. But to be honest, Anaya gives bad advice. She is over there whispering in Melanie's ear saying, keep on doing it, girl. Yep, yep, keep on doing it. Yep. Anaya, stop. You're not giving good advice. I'm sorry. And then we have Gabe confessing to kissing the bombshells. And then I truly feel like he wanted to see a rise out of Bia. He wanted her to be angry, to go crazy, kind of like Melanie does. And she was like, all right. Like, I know the kind of person you are. I know the kind of character you are. So I'm not going to go crazy about it. I'm just going to sit here and watch the cards fall as they may. I think there's an underlying of her acknowledging that nobody else is interested in her within the villa.
Oh my bad, Gabe. You actually like Bia. We saw some tears there. Maybe it's a language barrier. Maybe I need to learn Portuguese or Spanish or maybe both. I don't know. So we're talking about Love Island episode 9, and Bia is no longer in the villa. But I'm not surprised because she didn't have any other connection outside of Gabe. So it was Corbin's choice in Melanie or Bia. He was going to pick Melanie. Now let's talk about the Melanie and Corbin situation because it really irked me, and I tend not to talk about Kenzie on these videos because she irks me as well. I don't know, it's just something about her being that I'm really wondering how many times Soul actually got pied in the face, because it wasn't giving 1 or 2, it was giving 2 or 3, right? Like, she literally got to a point of tears. And I mean, granted, she could be an emotional person, but I'm just like, dang, maybe she really felt targeted. And it really irked me when Melanie was just like, you know, I should talk to her. Then talk to her. Like, why are you letting Sincere easily persuade you to not talk to her? Like, you could have, first of all, you should have talked to her as soon as she got in the villa, knowing that y'all were engaging with the same man. Personally, right? Because then that smooths it over, lets it know there's no beef, but you were perfectly fine for it to be some beef as long as there was a man at the end of the tunnel, right? And you know, this is evidence. You know, even though you have big titties, doesn't mean that you don't have a big heart. The main villain of the story is Sincere. Let's keep it a being. Sincere keeps on lying to you, and straight out of Melanie's mouth, she is allowing him to lie. He says, hey, no, I want to close things off. I just want it to be you. We're a couple. It's going to be me and you. And then he goes talks to Soul. And then he talks to Soul and it's just like, yeah, I want to keep on exploring. I want to keep exploring. And then he talks to Melanie. And that's why Gen 8's talking about, you may be sincere, but you're sure not honest. Like, you could have just been honest with these ladies and just let them know, hey, I want to explore both. Moving on. Trinity, don't talk to Zach. Zach is an op. Do you hear me? He's an op. He was talking dirt on your name since you and Bryce have been together. Okay? Do not trust him. And our most functional couple was sitting pretty because they both looked at each other like, I know you safe, and they be like, I know I'm safe too. So they were perfectly fine. We're talking about Anaya and KC. They were chilling. Now America has spoken. Now we have Jen and Gabe, Soul and Sincere, and Kenzie and Caleb. Y'all switched it around, America. Y'all really did.
We in the hideaway already? See, this is a scheme that Zach set up so Casey and Anaya wouldn't be the first couple in the hideaway. So we are talking about Love Island episode 10, and I really do feel like this is a filler episode, so I don't have too much to say, but you know I have to come out on here and say something. Kenzie is annoying again in this episode. Like, if I'm Melanie, I'm not asking permission to talk to the man who is in the same couple as me. Kenzie, you had your turn. Now it's my turn. Now, granted, was I absolutely shocked when I found out that Corbin was Jamaican? Absolutely. We do not, as a Jamaican delegate, we do not claim him. Or maybe we do, because Jamaican men, they don't have a good track record, if you get what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But anyway, like, let these kids live, Kenzie. Let them be great. Let them have dry-ass conversations, because you're going to have dry-ass conversations with Caleb. And the fact that you're saying, oh, he's too young for me. Corbin's 22, Caleb's 21. Be so for real. Please be so for real. And how do we feel about this new budding, I guess, relationship of Casey and Soul? Like, this was not on my bingo card. I thought Casey was going to stay with Anaya until the day he dies. And now he's changing, he's switching things up. And I think also, like, it's kind of like peer pressure, right? Like, he wasn't necessarily thinking or considering this until people were in his ear. Like, yes, he acknowledged that Soul was attractive and that she would be someone that he would be interested in. But now people are in his ear and it's a little bit more coming to fruition, if you get what I'm saying. Sincere can go somewhere. I'm so over him. And I just want to leave y'all with this. As Zach was fighting for his life to get that sausage in his mouth, we zoom over to Bryce with a smirk on his face. This was my review. Bye, y'all.
We don't need another blonde sister circle. We truly do not. Kenzie feels like she's getting her stuff off, but in reality, you're really not talking about anything. You're talking about the same thing. He won't kiss me. He won't kiss me. Why do you just need to kiss this man? He can provide a conversation, I guess. Like, granted, we're still talking about Corbin, so it's not going to be that deep. But Kenzie, you're not trying to get deep anyway. And I think that's the thing that's stressing me out. Like, you are not truly trying to get to know this man. You are just sexually attracted to him, and you just want physical touch, and it's really stressing me out. So we were talking about Love Island episode 12, and a lot of things happened. Like, the last episode before, it kind of was a filler, but things are literally heating up in the bedroom with Kata and Zach. And we also have Casey and Anaya, and I just, like, it has me thinking about, like, self-destruction, because we were talking about Melanie and how she was self-destructive with Sincere, and that was very blatant, very, like, loud, very easy to see. But Anaya is doing something very similar, but in a more covert way, and obviously neither of these women are, like, aware of how they're coming off. But it's just like, two things can be true, right? Yes, I do believe that Casey is comfortable in playing it safe. I think he introduced himself in that way when we're hearing conversations with him. Like, he's never left his hometown. Like, Fiji was the first time he left out of the country. Like, so he is a person that tends to play it safe. So it's not necessarily a knock on Anaya. In addition, he is attracted to her. He did say that he wanted to choose her with the door opening. And the crazy thing is, he kind of ate at that. He was like, I was the one who didn't get chose. Like, I was your last choice. So, like, the irony of it coming from you is really crazy. Like, I truly do feel like he likes Anaya, he wants to be with Anaya, and he does want to explore Soul. And it was kind of like a peer pressure thing going on. In addition, Sincere, you're going to get your lashings every single time I come on this camera, because Sincere, all you have to do is be honest. All you have to do is tell both of these ladies that you're interested in them. The fact that you're lying on our screens, and it's very evident. Like, we can roll back the tape. Like, I can't wait until movie night. Movie night is going to be 10 out of 10. But these are my thoughts for this episode. If you break up with me, I'm leaving the villa. Having the dump people still stay and watch as the people recouple is low-key diabolical, and it's the weirdest mating ritual I've ever seen, but yet I'm still here. So we are talking about Love Island episode 12, and it was some recouplings today. We had some really beautiful letters. I'm not going to hold you. Gabe and Jen's letters to each other, I'm like, oh, y'all really rock with each other. I see that. Soul calling Kenzie a chicken. My favorite part of the episode. That was diabolical, and she didn't even think of it as being diabolical. We definitely need a moment of praise for Casey calling Anaya a beautiful black woman. And I find it really funny how every moment Zach gets, he's always talking about how he potentially will recouple with somebody else if a bombshell is more fire than Kata. Like, tell me you don't like me without telling me you don't like me. You know what I mean? And I think it goes back to what Soul was saying. It's just like, it's really hard to be a bombshell because everybody is truly coupled up. Like, outside of Gabe and Jen, everybody went back to their original couple. So it's just like, I'm really curious how this is going to work when new bombshells come in, because, like, are they going to be able to turn people's heads? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Sincere and Melanie. Like, if we did not know what we knew, that message, those letters would have been so cute, so sweet, and be like, oh yes, couple. But because we know they're both a hot mess, Sincere is a liar. Once again, I will always give you lashes. And then Melanie is just like, I don't even know at this point, because yes, Sincere was playing in Melanie's face. In addition, Melanie was a crash out. You're no angel? What kind of Uno reverse is this? You play in this lady's face and then want to have a chat with her for what? What did you think this conversation would be? Do you think she would celebrate you and Melanie getting back together? And don't think that we didn't hear your sly little comments as you're eliminating her, talking about, well, she's not in a good couple. I wonder why. Oh, what is she talking about? You know exactly what she's talking about. It is Couples Island. Everybody is coupled up and not wanting to explore. We're talking about Love Island, episode 14. And we got a dumping, and it doesn't seem like this dumping is felt in the villa, but it's also being felt online, because I don't know if y'all haven't noticed, but Soul was bullied, Soul was isolated, and no one really tried to get to know her. And it's like the conversation with Casey and Bryce, like, that's cute, that's cool, but at the end of the day, you're a day late and a dollar short. Like, this is not really helpful when this lady just went through the ringer with little Goldilocks over there. I also have a theory about Gabe, because one of the reasons why they felt like Gabe needed to go is because he was
kissing everybody and moving from person to person, which he really kind of wasn't moving person to person. But my theory is that because he was no longer an OG and he had to get moved to a bombshell because of Asana, I think producers went up to him and was like, you have to play the part. You have to act like a bombshell, because we see glimpses of him being a lover boy, whether it's to the letter to Jen, whether it is him crying over Bia leaving. Like, he seems like a very in tuned with his emotion type of person, and he seems like he is able to be eloquent when he needs to be. But we don't see that side because, in my opinion, I think they told him to not show that side, to be more of a dog. And that's not fair, because, and that is at the end what he gets pushed out for. And I had a visceral reaction when Jen and Soul were talking about Melanie and talking about, like, oh, Sincere's a liar, like Mel should know. No, I'm okay with that. I don't know. I feel like Mel didn't build a rapport with Jen nor Soul in the beginning, and they kind of isolated both of them out. So she was in a couple. She was in a relationship with someone who nobody was vying for. So they kind of brought her into the fold versus Soul, who was interested in KC, interested in Sincere, and they looked at her as a big threat. So Mel did not want to engage with this lady. Let's be so for real. Even when she had an inkling to engage, she was able to be like turned around by Sincere. And Sincere is low key a puppet master if we're really thinking about it. Either or, today's vote was like low key crazy. Let's talk about Casey kind of doing a Hail Mary with Soul. Like, do you want this lady, or do you feel bad that this lady got the short end of the stick? These boys were weirdos on this episode, and moving forward, I don't want to hear nan one word from Zach or Sincere. Like, I feel like we've been on Sincere's neck, as we should, and we will remain on his neck, because once again, there was still a continuous upside comments talking about, oh, she's not really sad. If she's not really sad, we're talking about Jen, then why did you save Gabe, who was in a couple with Jen, and then get mad at the girls? I'm so confused. The idea that y'all are mad at your couples for making a hard decision that they had to make, regardless of if you agreed with the logic or not, the logic is still logicking. In their point of view, they felt like he was never going to be content. He was insatiable. He was not going to be happy in whatever couple that he was going to be. If therefore, we're kicking you off the island. And your logic makes sense too. You felt like Soul wasn't in a solid couple, so you decided for her to leave. But the caveat to all of that is, Sincere, when you are having conversations with Gabe and talking about, well, you got the short end of the stick, you have to explore, you didn't deserve that, da 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 da, but we couldn't make that make sense with Soul. Didn't think that Soul deserved another chance. No, because you were petty and you wanted to get her out of the village because you wanted to do the things that you wanted to do. Then we have Kenzie being so shocked that people were viewing her as lustful. Yes, girl, you are lustful. That's why you were at the bottom. Now, honestly, I wouldn't even say it's the lust part, because I do agree with KC. All y'all are lusty and all y'all are freaked out. Like, y'all are really going for it. Y'all are, yep, y'all are really doing that. Kissing with the slime on. All right. Not only are you lustful, but you're delusional. Because she literally sat in that fact for 5 seconds and moved on. And once again, I do feel like there's some racial undertones with the dumping of Gabe, because they're calling him lustful. They're calling him promiscuous. Even when Bryce is defending Gabe, he is insulting Gabe. And I think like it's because of his Latin background that they feel like it's acceptable to talk about this man in this particular way. Now, was Gabe tonguing people down? He was, but a lot of people were tonguing people down. Lastly, I have to give a shout out to Trinity. She is the realest. She is the one that is carrying Bryce. You are not the top couple because of y'all relationship. You are the top couple because we adore Trinity. Moving on to Anaya and KC. Both of y'all are insecure in two different ways, but I tend to lean more to KC's side because I get it. He's unsure about where to lean, whether to stay focused in one relationship or one couple rather, or explore. But he's also been deterred from exploring because of Anaya's insecurities of not being chosen and not being wanted. And you are allowing other people to get in your head, knock you off your square. And it's just like, forget them. Casa is open, Casey is free, and Corbin is doing exactly what we thought Corbin was gonna do. The fact that Kenzie is surprised even though she got this man through lust is crazy. The only connection y'all got is fingers, girl. And what y'all think fries is? I can figure out what fries is, but I want to know what y'all think it is. We are talking about Love Island Season 8, Episode 17. And honestly, we needed this. The girls needed this because we don't want to see Couples Island. Couples Island is not fun for us. We want some entertainment. We want something different, okay? And in the beginning, I was like, dang, y'all really not about to have no boys for them? That's crazy. But they needed to learn a lesson. They need to understand who those men are, what those men will do, and how they will behave when you're not in there. Okay? We're backtracking a little bit, starting from the top of the episode. I am so over Casey and Anaya. I am. I really was rooting for them. I even voted for them, y'all. Because contrary to people's opinion, I do not like the drama, you know? So I voted for them, but it's just like, she needs to get over this. Like, how you arguing about Soul? Soul not even in the villa anymore. Like, y'all need to separate. And Anaya said she's gonna do her big one when the men come. Good, do your big one. Do your big one. Do splits like Kenzie if you can, and keep it moving. You know what I mean? And I want to shake Kata up because Zach is not overthinking. He's being annoying and he's being wishy-washy. He actually doesn't want to be with you, but he also doesn't want to share you. That's what we call immature. So this idea that he's mad about you having a conversation with Caleb, he's like being jealous for no reason because guess what? He was waiting for a bombshell to come in. He was waiting for you to be quote unquote tested because he knows to play the long game he has to stay in a couple, but he wants to explore. He wants something different. And no, he was having conversations about exploring right after y'all slept together. Just keep that in mind, okay? Caleb didn't come here to play, okay? He says, I don't have a connection, so we need to connect somewhere. And he was connecting his pelvis with a lot of people, okay? He was doing what he needed to do. Honestly, if I'm being truly, truly honest, I skipped over a lot of like the tonguing down and all that stuff. All I need to say is, Tierra, Shorty's bad. Shorty's bad. And you know what? We also gotta give room for Trinity. She will always have room here. She gave props to everybody that came into that villa, okay? Because a bad bitch recognizes another bad bitch. And that's why Trinity is the realest. We are in Casa. The boys are coming tomorrow, and I'm ready. Bryce, I'm not convinced. I need at least 5 more tears for me to think that you actually care about Trinity. Because Trinity is doing her big one. She is the MVP of this season. While you are fake crying in Casa, she's tonguing somebody down in the photo booth. I love it. I need more. We are talking about Love Island Season 8, Episode 18. The boys have arrived. Now, I do feel some type of way that all that sexual chocolate was not welcome back into the villa. Is it giving colorist? I don't know. You tell me. Then you have in Casa, Alana talking about, oh, I met your brother. Then she said, oh, I kissed your brother. Then she said to the girls, oh, we went on a date. Girl, what is it? What is it? Because also don't think that we didn't hear about what she was saying while you were with your friends. What was that? I'm ready for you to leave our island expeditiously. We all peeped that you skipped over all of the 3 men of color when you were doing your little dance tease. You're no angel. Now, Anaya, what was promised to me was that you were going to do the big one, your big one. And what we got was a medium. Okay, because technically those boys pulled you and was dry humping you and bouncing you off their pelvis. So you technically didn't do a lot, you allowed. And then you want to go over to Melanie and go cry in a corner talking about, I miss my man, I miss my man. Ladies, they're not your men. They are boys that you met 3 weeks ago. And they have tongued down at least 3 additional people than you. Your count is down. I need you to pick it up and stand up at the same time. There's a lot of movement that needs to be happening. Do you understand me? I don't need y'all to have no more conversation because y'all are not helpful. Y'all are enablers and y'all don't help each other out. No more. One thing we can expect from Love Island is, universal truths. Casey will always talk about his plants, and Corbin will always find the blonde one. And what I mean, I love to see those boys' reaction when they saw a ship full of men come be delivered to their ladies. There was a little sickness in there. There was a little tightness in the chest. And I love that. Keep that coming. They deserve all the mental torment. And there's so many new people in this villa, I can't remember people's names. But all I know is I can't wait for Alana to leave and Zach be left personless. Additionally, I need more from you ladies. I need debauchery. And what I'm getting now is demure. I don't know why I was so gagged when Casey said he had nothing in common with Anaya. Like, I know this. We all know this. That's why we don't want them together. But hearing it out of his mouth, I don't know, just did something. So we are talking about season 8, episode 19 of Love Island. And the boys are still in casa, acting a mess, and losing challenges. And Sincere introduced me to a new pronunciation of epitome, and I thank him for that. And one thing Sincere will do is find him a woo-woo girl. Like, he searches for the ladies who have at least 5 crystals in their pocket. And to be honest, Casey was really wild in this episode. Like, him switching from TT to Sydney for no good apparent reason. I mean, like, we know the reason, right? Based off of the conversation that they were having. And to be honest, this is a realization that I am an adult, because the conversations that y'all are having about sex are so immature. It's really crazy. But he went from Sydney and then had a conversation with TT and then went back to TT and then admitted that he didn't have any connections with Anaya. Like, he's having a lot of realizations in Casa, and it's going to bite him in the ass later. Watch it. And for my boy Caleb, he keeps on taking L's. Like, why is Corbin always taking your girl? Like, get her back. Get her back. Well, maybe she don't want you back. But I'm just saying, kissing while he is sitting next to you is wild behavior. Like, granted, I know you don't want Kenzie back. She's not lustful enough for you. I really do appreciate the heartfelt moment that Trinity has with Melanie and Anaya. She talks about how hard it is navigating a dating space being a dark-skinned woman. And I think, like, that is something that a lot of people can resonate with. And it's something that, and it's something for people outside of the Black community should be aware of and understand that is what's going on in her head as she's trying to navigate her feelings around Bryce. Additionally, I am so happy that Corey, I think that's his name, is basically putting Melanie on game. Like, I don't know what you know, but I've been watching the tapes and Sincere ain't shit. Hallelujah. Yes, praise the Lord. Overall, I think this episode was kind of mid, but there are some gems in there. Arguing with the people's champion Trinity is the dumbest mistake you will make. And I kind of did like TT in the beginning. But you getting into grown folks' business, TT, is not the move. It's not the wave. We are talking about Love Island, Season 8, Episode 21. And it got real in the recoupling. This was exciting. Not only did the girls come with the energy, with the fire, with that dog in them, they also ended up back in their couples, and we were very much disappointed. I was most disappointed with Melanie. Like, honestly, it didn't matter if Sincere came back with Amora or if he came back with himself. He still ain't shit. That is part of his arc, going from 0 and ending at 0. He picked up a flower on the road and gave it to Melanie. Like, this doesn't mean anything to me. We had Jen picks Gal or Gall or whatever his name is, but Gal has the gall to say that, yes, you might pick me, but I'm still going to check Kenzie. So there we go with that. Caleb picks the girl. That's not important. Then we move on to Kenzie. The way Kenzie was talking about Corbin, you would have sworn that they were in love. And what did you expect from Corbin? Did Corbin talk about Kenzie crazy? Absolutely. Was there a deep connection? Absolutely not. So it's just like really blows my mind that the girls were gassing her up like this was a big betrayal. We have Kata. I really wanted Kata to choose Che. Like, I wanted her to like lean into that uncomfortability that she had and try to explore more. Moved on to Melanie. Like I said, like, I wanted her to pick Corey. I wanted her to choose better for herself. Like, your gut is telling you this is not right. Like, you said you didn't want to be the girl that says, well, he's still coming home to me. And yet you did exactly that. We knew Trinity was going to pick Bryce and Bryce was going to pick Trinity. Cool. Anaya, you know better. And I think that's the frustrating part. It's just like, I love that the girls rallied around and like chew Corbin out, chew Casey out. I love that. In addition, you knew this man was not about to pick you. You knew that in your gut. Once again, we're not trusting our guts, ladies. You've seen the pictures. The cracks were there before he even went to Casa. So the idea that you thought this man was not about to come home with something is crazy. Trinity was whispering in your ear and telling you that. TT and Parmita, this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm happy that they spoke up because they were talking a lot of crap in Casa, and I was going to be very disappointed if you were closed mouthed once you got into that villa. For me, it's keep the same energy. Regardless of if you're wrong or right, keep that same energy because then you're going to look like I mean, they still look bad regardless, but to me, you didn't lose 110% of my respect. You just lost like 75 of it. I think the toxicity in me was expecting a fight, but I'm happy nothing went down and people were able to piece it up. We are talking about Love Island, episode 23, season 8. And I have a lot of like thoughts, but I think a lot of my thoughts come from like the discourse that is happening around the Casey and Anaya. Now, don't get me wrong, Casey is allowing Corbin and the other guys to gas him up and is definitely getting him in trouble with that mouth. I think I struggle with the idea of him degrading her. So I think he was very disrespectful with the comments that he made in the villa about Anaya. And it really, really did make me sad when we see her break down. But truly, as someone who has cried and boo-hooed about a man 110 times, it is bigger than Nino Brown. It is not just about that man in that moment and in that time. There's some overarching maybe insecurities or feelings or treatments that I've experienced beforehand that is all combined into that moment. And that's what it gave. Like, she's known this man for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And she is breaking down crying. There is something deeper than that. And I do think that Casey needs to have a conversation with her. Absolutely, because she doesn't see what we saw in Casa, but from the information that she does know, she was absolutely disrespected. And I do think that it is about place and space. I think I've been hearing a lot about like Casey never liked her, Casey thinks she's ugly, and it's just like, where are we getting this? Like, I truly don't. I didn't see what y'all saw. And I do think that Casey liked her. I do think that Casey was insecure about her mobility in life and her status, and that kind of pushed him away, but also her insecurities pushed him away as well. But he is due to give her a conversation. Do I think this conversation will be fruitful? No, but I do think it's a respectful gesture to kind of calm the seas because you can't be talking bad about me and then thinking you about to stay in this villa and not have a conversation with me. Granted, Anaya has communicated she don't want that conversation, but she does. She does. So I know this is not necessarily talking about the whole episode because we had Meg the Stallion, we had Zach and Bryce. Honestly, now every time Zach and Bryce starts talking, I assume it's a scheme that they're trying to set up because I really am frustrated that Kata and Trinity are paired with these men. I truly don't believe in these relationships. I do think that there is a like there, but I also feel like there's disrespect there. I also feel like they are trying to stay in the couples that they initially had so they can be the winners. I think they're more schemers than lovers, if you get what I mean. And I also feel like energy needs to also be on sincere too. Like, he's literally admitting that he omits truths.
Finally, y'all have sat down and talked to these ladies. So we had Corbin talking to Kenzie and Casey talking to Anaya. I honestly think how Corbin handled the conversation with Kenzie should have been how Casey handled the conversation with Anaya. I acknowledge that Anaya had fire. Anaya was already going to come for his neck, as she should, because he disrespected her. Not speaking your piece first and allowing her to say what she had to say, I don't think that was a smart move. Granted, I didn't think we were going to get a lot out of this conversation, but the conversation did go better than what I thought it would be. We are talking about Love Island, episode 24, season 8. And I told y'all, God wasn't here for Jen. And the fact that he called this lady aggressive and that she was flipping the conversation around, just say you don't like this lady. Just say you actually don't want to be in a relationship with her. Because the idea that you were so flippant and so able to be clear and concise that you didn't like her when the boys were chatting with you, but literally 12 hours ago, she was like, hey, I feel like you don't find me attractive. I feel like you are really not into it. That could have been your out. That could have been amicable. That could have been respectful. Boom, bam, really done. But you made a decision to lie in that lady's face and on top of that, address the second option comment, but not the attraction comment. You're not slick. And the fact that Kenzie says, oh, Jen is my friend, but feels very comfortable knowing that Gaul does not like her in the way that Jen likes her, coming up to that man. That's crazy. I also have to respect Carl, because Carl said, hey, I understand that I am back, but I do have my walls up because you definitely didn't pick me. And honestly, if I was Carl, no shade to Anaya, but I wouldn't engage with you either because you had the opportunity to pick me. And as somebody who literally was crying for somebody to pick you, imagine how somebody feels not being picked. You know how that feels. So the idea of you wanting to have a second chance with this person, you have to understand that you're going to have to work for it. Lastly, Trinity and Bryce are official. Like, they are now officially a couple. She said, we didn't get clothes off. He's my boyfriend. I feel that. I don't know. They're warming up to me. Like I said, I am not the biggest fan of Bryce or Zach, and I feel like Zach says a lot of things to get under Kata's skin, but Kata is so locked in with him, she doesn't even notice. But I am happy for Trinity because she seems happy in her relationship. Regardless of my feelings of Bryce, she is now a girlfriend, and she is happy and content in her couple.
While Casey and I were yelling, Kata said, wait a goddamn minute. She was doing the math. She was doing the multiplication. She said, if 1 + 1 = Zach was kissing that girl and 2 + Zach didn't bring that girl back, this is the beginning of movie night. We've been waiting for this, y'all. We've been waiting for this. And I think it started off with a bang. And even before movie night, it didn't disappoint. We have Kenzie owning up to, yeah, I actually did kiss Gaul, even though I said there was nothing between us. And then Dylan proceeds to cry on her chest. Like, once again, maybe it's me, maybe I don't cry enough, but crying on this lady's chest after 2 days, to be fair, maybe it was 4, so that's like a week and a half in Villa time, but that's still crazy. And I love the conversation that Jen has with Kenzie. She said, for real, if we weren't in this villa, I wouldn't be your friend. And I respect that because I feel like it's just Kenzie needs a lot of seeds, a lot of hints, a lot of things to get into her brain that you are not the girl you think you are. And this is step 2 of the process. And step 3 will be part 2 of movie night. And I'm ready for that. And that's what I loved about movie night because one clip just doesn't do it, right? You need multiple clips. You need a bang after a bang after a bang for it to be a gut punch. And speaking of gut punches, Casey and Anaya's reels of multiple clips. And at this point, y'all, like Corbin said, next clip. I'm tired. We're tired. We're exhausted. People are getting up, getting in people's faces, like talking about the truths that are not the truths. And to be honest, like I'm always trying to rock with my girls, but like y'all saying that you would do the same thing again, even though it wasn't conducive to the situation, is not really helpful. And I think it's also interesting how the girls react to what Casey did versus what Sincere did. They were ready to be the peanut gallery for Casey, but weren't ready to be the peanut gallery for Sincere. And this might have come because I was chatting with my friends about it, and this might be because Melanie can handle her own. But Anaya doesn't necessarily have that bite. Speaking of Anaya and a little bite, she did the big one that we needed to see in Casa in this episode. She was on Carl and she was not letting go. And I don't know, I think Carl is kind of folding. He said he was going to be big and bad and have his walls up, but your walls is crumbling down because you let Anaya wrap her legs around you. America, no more wars on the internet. Casey and Anaya have pieced it up. They are cordial with each other. No more think pieces, please, for the love of God. We are talking Love Island, episode 26, season 8. Honestly, I don't feel like Kenzie got enough lashes for me, okay? And the girls, y'all were real cute. And y'all shouldn't have been cute. Y'all should have held her the chest just like you hold Casey and somewhat Sincere. I don't necessarily think that y'all gave the same energy, but we are here. I think I wanted to see, in addition to Kenzie saying, we're keeping this a secret, I'm kissing Corbin, I wanted to see her essentially change her personality with every single person that she was with,
because I think that shows more of a story, that tells us more of a thing. And y'all might hate me, but the MVP of this season is Corbin. He ain't shit, and he know he ain't shit, but he owns up to not being shit. That's gold. That's great. Like, I gotta respect that. We all have to respect that. And can we talk about Melanie? Because at the end of the day, and my friend said it very well, we've all been there. We've all been a Melanie. Like I said, I have slid down a wall or two or eight before. In addition, this idea of you have to fix it, you have to fix it. What does he have to fix? Whether you feel disrespected, you no longer want to be with him, and then you're moving on, or don't say anything at this point, because it's just like, how many times, how many of these exhaustion conversations, and no, it hasn't even been a month yet. We're on week 4, right? So it's just like, if this man is dragging you through it and it's only been 4 weeks, what do you think will happen in reality? And Sincere ain't shit, once again, he will always get lashings over here, because not only did he have you sleeping in soul ties, well, no, you couldn't even sleep in soul ties because the owl was there. So not only were you sleeping near the fire pit, he knew you were going to come back. He is mean. He's mean. I don't know what to tell you. He is mean. Regardless of it's intentional or not, the meanness is there. And like we said, Anaya did come up to Casey and apologize for being in his face, because that was definitely something that was not becoming of anyone. And it's just like, if he did that to you, literally producers would have stepped in and blocked that. So it's just like unacceptable for you to act and behave that way, especially since the episode before you talking about, is this bad, girls? Da-da-da-da. I'm happy that Casey also like pieced it up with her. Granted, he did not look her in the eye, but I said this before, he does not seem like an individual who is equipped to have deep conversations. Like, I think like that is not what he is. He's inept, if you will. But I caught that even before there were like issues and cracks in the relationship.
Now, I know y'all want to kick Parmita off the villa, but my good sis did make some points. She said Kenzie and Sincere both are similar. Kenzie loves to explore, and Sincere loves to explore. Let's talk about it. We are talking about Love Island, episode 27, season 8, and not only did we get a recoupling, but we got a dumping. And who was surprised? Mora, Gall, Jen, Caleb, and Jaden were leaving. Not I, said the cat. There was too many beds, too many pullouts, too many futons in that room for all of them to stay. And I wasn't surprised. Like, honestly, to be messy, to get some OGs out of the building, I low-key wish that Amora and Gall could not have been voted, because they just recoupled. And let's talk about Kenzie and Dylan, because Corbin was right. Kenzie voted Corbin and Parmita out of spite, because the irony of it all, talking about they're too lustful, like, this was supposed to be your recovery episode. This was supposed to be you taking the L's, saying I'm sorry, and moving accordingly. Like, you going back and forth with Melanie, you going back and forth with Corbin, talking about, I don't see what y'all see. That's not true. Baby, we all saw what we saw. We all were there on movie night, and you looked crazy, and the girls told you that you looked crazy. Did they engage with you as authentically as they should have? No, they didn't. But what is not clicking, baby? And baby, I respect Melanie's movement in this episode and how she engaged with the people when they did vote for her. Like, she understood, like, yes, he ain't shit. So I understand why this will come up as us not being compatible. And the funny thing is, the way that they were describing Caleb and Jaden is the way that Sincere and Melanie were moving, but they're just OGs. Now let's talk about Jaden and Caleb a little bit. I was confused because last time we checked, she said she didn't like this man. She said she didn't want this man. And now she arguing, talking about, well, why are you talking about other people and not talking to me? Da, 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 da. He's 5. He needs consulting. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, and once again, you don't like this little boy. Like, you don't like him. So, like, stop trying to pretend and fake the funk. He caught the vibes, and sometimes vibes are intangible, but it's just like, you know that something here is not right, and it's also really telling how TT and Parmita were acting. when Jaden and Amora left. They really were sad. It seems like they're not brought into the fold with the original Villa girls. And I think the idea of bullying or excluding them might be true. Amora really thought that she was about to get a lick putting Jen underneath the bus, but in reality, all y'all got sent home. Am I the only one who had Corbin and Parmita as my top 4 couple? Let's talk about it. We are talking about Love Island, episode 29, season 8, and this is not on my bingo card for them to go. Like, I had my top 4 couples were going to be Casey and TT, Anaya and Carl, Zach and not me about to say Zach and Bryce, Trinity and Bryce, and Corbin and Parmita. Like, that was going to be my top 4. So now I gotta reconfigure. My big old card is all jacked up now. I hope next episode Kata sees that we don't like Zach. I hope there's an understanding. And I also wonder if there's going to be a Twitter challenge, because if there was a Twitter challenge or a Threads challenge, whatever you want to call it, they would know that we don't like Zach. We don't like Zach over here. And honestly, we don't like Bryce over here. And I feel like that karaoke challenge was indicative of their relationship with Trinity and Bryce, of Trinity holding it down and dragging Bryce along with her. Because she had the notes. She had the notes, okay? No air and everything. All he did was a little foot thing. Exactly who won was exactly who I thought would win. Like, y'all know this is not a Kenzie Stan account, but Kenzie and Dylan, hey, love a choreography. She had a little note to her. Casey and TT with the listen, baby. Yes, you did that. You did that. And they had a little choreography. And then it's just like, I like Melanie and Sincere's one because it's just like, first of all, I'm a Grease stan. I love Grease. But also it's just like the words made sense. It's like, you better shape up. Cause I need a man. Like, that works. That works for me. Earlier that day, Kenzie was having heart-to-hearts with people. She was doing damage control, as she should. This was the expectation that I wanted in the episode prior. Like, say sorry to people. Like, engage with people. Acknowledge your flaws. Like, do these things. So she apologized to Parmita. Granted, I still think that vote was out of spite. I think we saw another side of TT because, you know, online, I feel like people make her very, like, mean and masculine, but I think she was a good mediator between these conversations, and she was very level-headed. Additionally, I thought the conversation between her and Melanie was so telling. Like, Melanie said, honestly, you've been calling me your best friend, but you haven't really engaged with me since Soul got in here. And what I really wanted her to say, it wasn't because of Soul, it was because of Jen. It was her white sister circle. That is what had her disappear from the people of color. You get what I'm saying? In addition, Jen said something similar, like, I wouldn't have you be my best friend if this wasn't Love Island and I wasn't stuck here with you. So 2 people that you claimed are your best friend kind of don't want that mantle from you, and also have held you to task on how your behavior is.
Kata is a hater. Kenzie is delusional. Casey and TT are just happy to still be in the villa, and Sincere is telling Melanie that he loves her. This is all a result of what happened after the voting of America. See what y'all did? So let's talk about it. Love Island, episode 30, season 8. And the couples are reeling from America's vote of most compatible couples. It was really unbecoming of Kata to see that she's a hater. Like, get off of Casey and TT's back. Like, it's over. Anaya's done with it. Casey and TT are done with it. Like, literally, why are you still caring about this? And to see that Sincere is right there, and all y'all are Team Sincere, but it's F Casey forever and always. It's really just wild to me. Like, what do y'all have against this child bigger than the situation at hand? Because the situation is done with at this point. And it was really crazy because when TT did come up to her and, like, have a conversation, the energy was not at all what you were given when you were talking to Zach, when you were talking to Trinity. Like, I didn't like that. And I'm looking at Kata kind of sideways. I cackled when Kenzie brought everybody and she was like, so if we didn't win the karaoke, would y'all have voted for me? Crickets. Melanie said, let's not worry about that. Now, speaking of Melanie, I just wish Sincere would just shut the heck up. You do not have to tell this lady that you want to marry her. You do not have to tell her that you want kids with her. Like, you can just not talk. Like, I think that's part of his issue. Like, he puts himself deeper and deeper in holes that he has no business in being in. Boy, you just got out of the doghouse. Be happy you just got out of the doghouse. That's it. That's literally it. But you just add extra sauce to it. It's just, and it makes me go crazy. Now we need to talk about Dylan and Kenzie. I had to write this down because I'm like, Dylan is waking up. Realizing, so you said this to this person, you said this to this person. He's putting the mathematics together. Don't like the energy of he needs to get over it. He needs to get over it. It happened last night. Like, why are we pretending that it did not exist? Just because y'all let y'all men run over you and don't engage in conversation and really hold them to task and ask them to be accountable for their decisions doesn't mean that Dylan has to be that way. And I think that was just horrible advice, and it emboldened Kenzie to keep acting the way that she acts. I also want to add the conversation between Zach and Bryce. That was strategic. That is the issue why we don't like y'all, because we look at y'all as schemers, as plotters. It's very clear that y'all don't like these ladies as much as they like you, because this is all a scheme that y'all are setting up. So the real question is, what y'all think a situationship is? And is Kata and Zach in one? So we are talking about Love Island, episode 31, season 8. And let's get into it, because I truly never really heard this exclusive term outside of Love Island. And to me, either you're my boyfriend or you're not. Personally, maybe I'm washed, maybe I'm too old. And I think it's so hilarious that Zach wants to be exclusive with Kata on the last week of Love Island. And once again, this is indicative of him playing around in this lady's face. And she had 2 instances, technically 3 instances, where people were like, yeah, Zach is so unserious. You had TT telling her the episode prior, and you had in the same episode Trinity as well as the other girls being very much confused of like, girl, what is this anyway? Like, who are your options? Who else would you be with if not Zach? So him saying that y'all exclusive but y'all not gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend not yet is purposeless. Now, will I say, do people need to be boyfriend and girlfriend during the show? No. Like, this is a very tailored experience. So what you are in the real world is not probably what you are in Love Island. And that's low-key scary, because a lot of these men are showing their asses. And speaking about men showing their asses, yes, we're talking about Sincere. The fact that y'all were making these people go into the hideaway is wild behavior. I'm really convinced y'all don't like Melanie, because y'all see this man mess up over and over and over again and still give him a chance to sleep with her. Like, she needs to leave the island for her mental health at all. She does not need to be in a sexy, secluded, romantic area with Sincere doing things that she shouldn't be doing. And I cannot tell a lie, Casey asking TT to be his girlfriend with his own free will was very much adorable. Like, I love a scavenger hunt. Yeah, give us a scavenger hunt. It was really sweet. And then you can see like how TT is very emotional because she hasn't had anybody to treat her in this particular manner. So that's great to hear. I will say Casey needs to work on his reasonings on why he wanted TT to be his girlfriend. It's not all about you. Like, what about her? Why do you like her? Why do you think she's with you? Why do you think she is a ride or die, if you will? I think that's important as well. Conversation that Melanie's sister had with Melanie is what I was expecting from the Villa Girls. Let's talk about it. Island, episode 32, season 8. We've lost Melanie. We've lost Melanie. Not only did her sister pour into her, her mama poured into her. Anaya's mama had to get on Anaya and be like, girl, you're not being a good friend. You're not giving good advice. Like, multiple people and multiple ends are saying, this is not right. Even the daddy, even Sincere's daddy was just like, no, babes, this is not it. Melanie's takeaway, her takeaway was, not only do you have to make it up and fix it for me, you have to do the same for my mom and my sister. Good morning. It's done. It's chopped. Like, this is not at all what we were expecting or what we wanted to see. Now, granted, I'm probably part of the problem because I voted for Melanie and Sincere for the top 4, but I have other motives going on. We can talk about it maybe in another video if you want that. But overall, most of the family meetings were genuine, were wholesome, were really cool. Like Bryce's grandma, she a little freaked out. I don't know. That probably makes sense why Bryce is here at 30, but I digress. Additionally, the conversation between Zach and Charlie and his sister gave conference, gave strategy meeting, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it didn't give, I'm so proud of you for meeting Kata, like she's a beautiful girl. And sister, I did hear that dig on the other island members, like you're not slick. Additionally, it gave like you're making the win. Like you're doing what you need to do for us to win it all. That's what it gave. So once again, not only are the allegations of Charlie being strategic is still in play, but Zach as well. And I like that Kata's sister clock. You just slept with her and then you talking about bombshells? Wild behavior. Weird. You're very weird. And I feel like she wanted to do more, but she wanted to keep it cute. And I feel like most of the family kept it cute. I really didn't necessarily agree with Dylan's mom, but like Kenzie and Dylan are such on the lower ranks, I don't necessarily care. But I can respect Kenzie for bringing Dylan's mom over and saying, hey, I would like to have a chat. I would like to have a conversation with you. Respectable. I respect that. Yeah, I think that's all I got.
Carl is the only man who deserves that money out of those 4 boys. And you can clearly see who I voted for last night. And RIP to Casey and TT. Let's talk about it. We are talking about Love Island, the episode before the finale. I forget the number, but we're chatting about it. I absolutely skipped over that gross putting things in people's mouths through your own mouths. Like I wasn't watching that. Like as soon as I found out that Casey had mushroom soup in his hands, I already know what was going to happen. I already knew what was going to go down, so I didn't continue watching it. And honestly, I'm shocked that Kata and Zach made it to the 4, but I know there is a group of people who are saying core 4, core 4, core 4. So here we are. Did I vote for Melanie? I did. My vote was Casey and TT, Anaya and Carl, Trinity and Bryce, and Melanie and Sincere. And part of me is like, dang, I shouldn't have done that. But I truly did not want Zach or Kenzie to touch this money. So I think it was more of you shall not pass. But honestly, I don't think, y'all might shoot me, but I do not think Bryce likes Trinity like Trinity likes Bryce. So that makes that couple uncompatible. Personally, I do not believe that Sincere is, let's say it all together, sincere. So he is going to dog out Melanie. And it's really like we all can foresee this future, like, and it's going to be more covert now, right? They're going to go back to their respective homes or hometowns, and he's going to have shorties on the side, and she's going to not know anything about them. Like, we know this. So at this point in time, like, as the crowd has said, don't save her. And I will oblige to that. I am not going to save this lady. She is grown. She's like 25, so she knows exactly what she's doing. To be honest, if you're asking Amadi why didn't you want to put Kata and Zach in the top 4, is Kata kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I think she was still stuck on the like Casey and TT of it all when everybody got past it, so it gave a hater. Additionally, it's just like people are trying to tell you the truth about Zach, and you just choose not to believe it. And Zach is Zach. I think there is multiple videos of people talking about his bad behavior, whether it's not feeding her, whether it is dropping the L word and then taking it back, whether it's causing drama within the villa and watching the black ladies clean it up. And speaking of black ladies, it was very telling when TT said to Zach, "Why are you talking to me? You don't even talk to me." So he seems like he doesn't even engage with the black women. So I do not think that they're deserving to be in the top 4. I'm very curious on who you have voted for. Drop it down in the comments.